Bill?
Okay, Commissioner Ryan? Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
Commissioner Blower?
Here.
Commissioner Jewell?
Here.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins?
Here.
Commissioner Sorensen?
I'm here.
Commissioner Jordan?
Here.
Commissioner Wesley?
Here, we have a quorum. Glad to hear from all of you, and thanks for joining our meeting this evening. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our attorney, Kelly Thompson, to read the amendment to the Open Meetings Act.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All boards and commissions must adhere to all laws established under the Michigan compiled laws and in accordance with the revisions of the Open Meetings Act adopted in Senate Bill 1108 as passed on October 13th, 2020 and signed into law on October 16th, 2020. A public announcement shall be made by each member who is attending the meeting remotely that he or she is attending the meeting remotely and stating his or her physical location.
Okay, Commissioner Ryan? Commissioner Campbell?
Leora Campbell, 3rd Ward, attending remotely at my residence.
Commissioner Blower?
Commissioner Blower, attending remotely from my residence in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Jewell?
Yes, Rob Jewell, Commissioner Jewell, attending remotely from my residence at Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins?
Commissioner Cook Hawkins, attending remotely at my residence here in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Commissioner Sorensen appearing remotely in Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Jordan?
Commissioner Jordan attending remotely from Flint, Michigan.
Commissioner Wesley?
Commissioner Bob Wesley, we attending remotely from my residence in Flint, Michigan. Okay, next on our agenda. Any additions or changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes, Commissioner Jewell.
Just wanted to follow up on a number of items on our agenda to add or to change. First one, if we look under the minutes, we have December 22nd minutes. Those were presented and reviewed at our last meeting on January the 26th. Unless somebody knows something different than I do, I think that can be eliminated.
Correct.
Also like to add under case reviews, and as chair, you can decide accordingly when to review those. First one under case review is SPR 20-941. That's SPR 20-941. The status regarding questions and concerns regarding the Sylvester Broom Empowerment Village. The second one is SPR 2942. That's 2942. Status regarding the conditional approval of the Greater Flint Mental Health Facilities on Saginaw Street. And then the last one under case review is SPR 21-945. That's 21-945 regarding follow-up on the Community First project. I think it's Orchard Manors on Flushing Road. Additionally, under reports, if we could add under reports, status of planning and the development staffing. I understand there's still a position that's open on that. Also, under old business, I do have a question, Mr. Chair, but you can address it at that particular time. Status of Planning Commissioner membership roster. It's my understanding that that information has been provided unless there's additional updates. And then also under old business is I-475 meeting update status. I know that was discussed briefly at our last meeting on the 26th. So those were some additional changes and additions and changes.
Under old business, you had status of roster, right?
Correct. I had a question mark that we can address at that time. It was on our last meeting on the January 26th meeting, where my understanding is everything to date has been updated unless staff has some additional items to address.
This is Commissioner Jordan. If I could just chime in, I believe that the status of the membership roster may have been on the agenda in error, and I'd be comfortable taking that off. I don't believe there's any further updates with that.
Okay. Unless staff has any objections, if they have some additional information, I'll recommend taking that off of the agenda.
So, okay, that's off.
Right, unless
Okay.
there's an objection from staff. And then the other one is update on the I-475 phone meeting.
Okay, let me see now. For case reviews, you had SPR 20941, questions about the Broome Center,
Correct.
and SPR 20942, Greater Flint Mental Health
Facility.
Facility. What was that, an update? Or
Yeah,
what?
because that was a conditional approval, and I don't have my notes right here before me at this time,
All right.
but there was some follow-up. Go ahead.
Okay, and then the next one was SPR 20945, Community First. That was also a conditional approval, wasn't it?
Correct.
Okay. I think the Broome Center might be a quickie, but I think if the next two, I'm not sure where we are on those. I think we need to put those under case reviews for our next meeting.
I don't have a difficulty with that, Mr. Chair. I just like to have it on the agenda, in that when we get to that point, if it's your decision to postpone those until our next meeting, that's fine with me.
Okay. All right. Any other additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I was going to request a ZBA under reports, but I would be comfortable under the case review because it's in regards to 20-941, the Broome Center,
Okay.
the report from the last ZBA meeting.
ZBA. Okay. Any other additions? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
This is Commissioner Jewell. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with additions and corrections. Or changes, my apologies.
Do I hear support?
Support.
Support.
I heard a bunch of echoes. I think I got a bunch of supports.
Can we just have one for the record, Commissioner Wesley?
I think I heard Blower.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Blower. Supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed has the same right. It appears unanimous. Next on the agenda is previous minutes from the previous meeting. The December 22nd minutes was taken care of at our June 26th meeting. And I will request at this time that our January, the minutes is not complete at this time. So the January 26th minutes be adjourned till our first meeting in March. It's Could I get a motion to that effect? If anybody have any objections or a motion to that effect?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Joel. Not having the documents before us, I think it's within your purview as the chair to make that decision.
Okay. Well, this is my decision then to have our January 26 minutes be placed on our agenda for our first meeting in March. Thank you. The public forum. The public is invited to take part on anything appearing on our agenda this evening. If there's anyone out in our virtual audience that's wishing to address the commission, if you wish to address the commission on one of the items appearing in the public hearing, you will have a time to do that at a later date when I call for a public hearing. But is there anything else that you wish to address that comes under the preview of the Planning Commission? You can do so at this time. Is there anyone in the public wishing to address the commission? Anyone in the public wishing to address the commission?
Mr.
Hello?
Chair, this is Kelly.
Yes?
I just thought it might be helpful if KZ could read, or Mr. Chair, if you could read what the public hearings are so that the callers on the line understand when they'll have an opportunity to address certain items that they might be calling in for. I don't think you need to read the entire thing, but maybe the business names or the addresses.
If anyone wish to, for the public hearing, we have PC 21393 BC of Flint for a special regulated use. We have PC 21394 BC of Flint for a Group B special regulated use. We have PC 21395 Hindog Holdings for a special regulated use, and PC 21396 Sedgwick Fedowa Architect for a principal conditional use. All these will be taken under the public hearing and not in the public forum. The public forum deals with anything outside of the matters that will be addressed during the public hearing. So if you don't want to address us on anything other than those PCs that I just called off, you can do so at this time for the public forum.
Yes, may I speak now? Regarding PC 21-396?
No, I will call that at a later time for the public hearing.
Okay.
This is a public forum. If you have anything else other than, you would have an opportunity to speak when I call that number again. I will give you an opportunity to speak during the public hearing. This is the
Mr.
public
Chair?
forum.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jordan. I just wonder, since this is one of the things that's a little bit challenging of being virtual, is we don't have the actual agendas to distribute to folks. So
Right.
for the benefit of the caller who might be on the line, if the one that you were interested in was the Oakley Street one, that's going to be public hearing number 4 tonight. So, so it's going to be the 4th public hearing that we get to.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone wishing to address the commission at this time regarding any of the items, anything other than those things that will be handled under the public hearing? It's a public forum. Anyone wishing to address the commission? KZ, we have anyone other than individuals on the line that's on the line for the public hearing as opposed to the public forum that you know of? No.
No.
Okay, thank you. The public forum is now closed. Next item on our agenda is a site plan review. SPR 21946, Sercan Incorporated is requesting a site plan review at 2502 South Dort Highway, Flint, PID 41 20 278 03 0001. Is the applicant present?
Yes. Yes, I'm here. Wilson Sarkis.
State your name again, please. State your name again, please.
My name is Wilson Sarkis with SecureCan. I have Ms. Brenda here. She'd be representing me on this.
And also Tom Shafu representing Alpine here as well.
Ms. Williams, she's your expert for a site plan review? You need your architect. I think she's an attorney.
Yeah, he's on the line as
We
well.
have-
His name is Thomas Shafu he's with Orchard Construction. He just said his name. So I have Brenda and Thomas here. I apologize.
Commissioner Wesley, for a point of order, could I have Thomas's spelling of his last name, please?
SHAFFOU.
Thank you, sir.
And can we, is it, and your last name, Wilson?
Her last name is Sarkis, Sarkis.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Sarkis, is you the one going to be talking about your site plan review? Talking about the site plan review.
I can pass it to Thomas Shafu to go through it.
How you folks doing?
Mr.
this is
Chair,
Tom.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I before they begin, I just have a clarification that I need on the City of Flint site plan checklist that I received. There was a number of items that were not addressed or needed to be addressed, and I just wanted to check with staff if those items have been addressed.
This is Corey Christensen. Due to the extensive number of deficiencies, I think we should defer to the architect to go through the various items that were deficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I just wanted to double check because I know at times in the past we've usually received follow-up information and so forth. So I guess, Corey, have we received any follow-up information for the questions and concerns?
Yes, they submitted revised site plans.
Okay.
So they addressed a number of the
that's
items, but not all of them.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you ever so much, Mr. Chair.
All right. Okay. You have the floor, Mr. Thomas.
Everybody for your time. And last time we met in June, we had discussions on enhancing the site again through that process. So the biggest obstacle we had, or one of the, might have been an obstacle, but I think end of the day it was a positive proposition, was to acquire the Velvet Touch. So that was one of the conditions we promised the board at the time. And we are excited and thrilled to say that we were able to acquire then a nuisance of a property.
Yeah.
And what the idea was to redevelop the entire site. As you could see here, you could see the two adjacent buildings. Larger one is allocated to be used for the cultivation and processing. And the Velvet Touch right next to it, the purple building, that was purchased and then the current use was obviously terminated, is proposed for the retail provisioning center. So we ended up going through the vigorous process and pretty much came up with a plan to enhance the entire property, parcels with new facades for both buildings, enhanced parking, landscaping, to kind of address majority of these checklists that were required to go through the process. There's also some renderings just to give you potentially what the interior, not the potentially, what the interior would ultimately look like right underneath in this portion. And I could go to the last page to kind of give you an overview of, you could get a color feel of the entire site as it's proposed to be developed in the near future.
This is Corey Christensen. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I know the building department was pretty concerned about the abandoned house that's currently sitting on the property. Do you have a demolition plan for that?
So if we actually submitted for a demolition permit with the building department, and if you look at the site plan where my cursor here says existing house to be removed or demolished. So we are going through a permit process to completely demolish that house off site.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't see that on the current.
It's right here. If you guys could see my.
Yeah, I'm seeing it on your diagram there, but I didn't look at the site plan that I have. It wasn't there. Okay.
Well, that's definitely one of the first concerns we had, was we need to get rid of that building. And so that's being proposed to be demolished, and the application has already been submitted to building department.
Okay. Is that the extent of your presentation there?
Well, I was hoping that part of this could be self-explanatory with the booklet we provided, because it had a lot of information in there. I could touch up on any questions, subjects and concerns, but I just want to emphasize that
The new booklets that we have, or
there should have been new booklets issued over the last 10 days or so, should have been circulating. I hope everybody got them. What I have on the screen is
sir, is that the oversized one?
or is that the smaller ones?
the smaller booklet. The oversized is straight plans. The oversized one gives you kind of the feel for the entire project with the elevations of the building, the site plans.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking.
Yeah, the colored site.
You sort of need a magnifying glass to do this, but glad I have one.
I can zoom in on anything you want here, so if it makes life easier with my click of a button with a mouse.
Okay.
So we could definitely do that. And I wish we would have been here sooner. It took a process just through the acquisition of the Velvet Touch, and I know that's been a big thorn to most of the community's side here because of the nuisance of the building, the use. So the objective was to get it entitled and then ultimately purchase it to change the use as we promised we were going to do back in June. But obviously COVID had an effect on some of the time frame. Working with Stellar and other folks to make this deal happen. The idea is to take and expand this corridor, not only to enhance one building, but two buildings. So that way you get a nicer curb appeal for that whole corridor. The idea is not just to enhance our site, but to also to set a precedence for any future developments. When you see a nicer development where people, put in the right effort, resources, and it has beauty, that it should hopefully trigger, an ongoing encouragement for whoever decides to do a development, that this should be the precedence moving forward for that corridor moving on out.
Okay. Commissioners, questions from the commissioners to the applicant. You might want to address the checklist and go down so you can clarify any questions that you may have.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Okay.
I-
Mr. Jewell.
I'll start with the checklist. I think I have over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe about 15 issues or concerns. Maybe we can just use the checklist and walk through that. How does that sound?
That's fine, Mr. Jewell.
I'm looking at page 1 of our checklist, and Corey, you can also jump in on these. Number 10, the area of the lot stated in acres or if less than an acre in square feet. It says acreage provided is incorrect. Has that been updated or corrected?
The issue here that I was pointing out in the checklist was that there's 2 separate parcels, and there wasn't a separate acreage provided for each parcel, as well as an acreage for the combined property. So if the applicant wants to address that.
Yes.
Yep, I could address that. So there is on the lot coverage portion, we revised that. So you have the total square footage and acreage, which is now for the lot combo, which is 1.59 acres. So
1.59 acres, you said?
Correct.
And is that including, because there's going to be a parcel split, right? Removing a large chunk. Is that after that or before?
No, that's the final conclusion.
Okay.
And when we did it, so we went through it, you guys should have had what we did is when we revised the site plans, we marked up our response in blue next to each redlined item and sent the packet, the checklist back. So answering all the questions you guys had in red. So we make it as clear as possible, having the checklist answers in blue, along with the new site plan that was delivered to the city a couple of weeks ago.
Well, this is Commissioner Jewell again. I appreciate the clarification, only I don't seem to have received that updated red and blue correction sheet. Corey or Bill?
I don't recall seeing it either. When was it submitted? Was it in that box?
It was actually emailed. It was there's a physical copy, and then there's also the emailed. The checklist was emailed, and I believe Vern Brown might have helped assist with that specific email to get it to the city.
Okay, I'm looking now.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, is this the one that was just delivered this afternoon? The red and white
No,
one?
You might not have that one, Commissioner Camp. It was emailed, so they're trying to find the email. Gordon was trying to find email at this time.
There were 2 delivered this afternoon.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think either one of them addressed the current question though.
Question. Okay.
So, I mean, the site area, site data where it says the 1.5 acres, this is, and then the square footage next to it.
Right.
That addresses the total square footage and acres for the specific, for the 2 properties that are combined.
So it's 1.5 and not 1.58 and not 1.59?
1.58, there we go, right there. You could see it right there.
I found the revised checklist, so it might be useful for me to screen share and then we can all look at it.
Okay.
Or we can. Sorry.
So if it's okay, I'll continue just to go through the checklist. Is that okay, Corey?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I think I think we've addressed number 10 and number 11.
going to what, 16 now?
Yeah, then there's item number 16, percentage of land use.
Calculate usage.
That one where it says lot coverage in total right here. It has all the calculations for that as well. So we addressed that in our checklist rebuttal, and we did mention that as well.
So that's lot coverage. Corey, do you have that on your checklist?
Yep, it's correct.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next one, number 17.
Yep, and we just-
Location and dimensions.
This one was addressed. I was drawing attention to that house that needs to be demolished, and that is included as we see on the site plan right there.
Yep,
Okay, so
Yep.
number 17 is addressed. Okay.
Number 18 is also addressed.
Right. Okay, that sounds great. We're on a roll here. If we go down to number 26, location and detail of site lighting.
Okay, I could comment on that. So where we, my cursor where it says B, these are all where the light fixtures are on the building. And on both properties, along with the two poles here. And if you look at the legend down below, right there where it'll say building light, height, light pole, these two cursors are legends to indicate where the lighting is going. And we took it a step further. We even displayed it on the elevations as well, just so you can get a clear depiction of where it's going.
And I had noticed that, but I just wanted to double check to make sure that your information you had submitted was verified. So Corey, we're okay with 26?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to number 30, existing or proposed walls or fences, as well as number 31.
So this is addressed as well. And if you look at the perimeter, now there's an existing fence to some degree. And then we highlighted our continuous fence where it says here. And we also show it on the legend as well.
Right.
You can easily follow. But it's all over the site plan. You can see it right here. If you
Right.
That's the fence.
Yeah.
And then you got a cross section showing it as well. See where it says fence?
And I appreciate that. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So Curry, we're okay. We're okay with 30 and 31.
What's the height of the fence?
Yeah.
It's 6 foot. 6 foot fence.
Okay. And we are okay.
What was the
Okay.
height of the fence?
6 foot.
6 foot?
Unless you guys prefer a different height.
No, I just didn't hear the part. 6 foot. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. The next item I have is number 38, a statement indicating the existing and intended use of the lot and structures upon it. I think you have that covered, but let's just double check that.
Yep. So here is this box that addresses that comment that you just mentioned right here.
Right. Right. I just wanted to make sure on that. Okay. Then I'm on page 4 under what is called supplemental regulations. And or you can probably help us out on this one. Section 50-5, conformity of buildings and land. There was a question mark where it said more information is needed.
This again, I was referencing the house, so that has been addressed.
Right. And I thought that was the case also. And then 50-6, compliance with height, yard, and occupancy requirements.
Yes.
Again, have we got that addressed?
Yep, the revised plans provide the correct building height, and I think the
Right.
issue with the lot area, both of those have been addressed.
Right. And I thought that, again, I thought that was the case. Then I have on zoning district required conditions, page 5. And I think we got this covered where there was a statement, please provide a statement on the site plans to the effect of processes and equipment employed and goods sold shall be limited to those which are non-objectionable by reason of odor, dust, smoke, cinders, etc.
Right here, this box that you just mentioned, here's the language for it right here.
Right. Again, I had noticed a number of these, but I just wanted to double check. That's why I wanted to just walk through these items to make sure we've got everything covered for you. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, I also have on page 7, article regarding off-street parking and loading spaces, section 50-132, off-street loading spaces. And the comment was there appears to be one loading space without an accurate measurement of floor area compliance. Accurate measurement of floor area compliance cannot be verified.
And that was.
This has also been addressed.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. You're right. Okay, let's see what else I have on my list here. I think, the other items I had were related to department heads or department staff responding. And one was from the fire marshal regarding, let's see, what have we got here? The Flint Fire Department requests installation of water supply, fire hydrant per fire code reg, and then number 2 was additional water supply, and then 3 fire apparatus access road. I don't know if you had gotten that inquiry.
I have not been in contact with a fire marshal yet regarding this project. I mean, I have not been, there's been no communication. I assume that's something that happens upon the building plan reviews.
Okay. Corey?
Yes.
Go ahead, Corey. Go ahead, Corey.
These items are going to be addressed when it gets to the building phase, but I think that the commission should keep it in mind and maybe make a condition of approval that they meet the requirements of the fire department.
Okay, which then means pending our decision, we need to make sure that they have that information, correct?
Yep.
Right. And then there was another one from city engineering regarding stormwater pre and post calculations for new parking area. And do they need a gate at the back fence?
I
would that be it?
All right, go ahead. Corey, can I chime in for a quick second?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
That's something that we would handle once we submit for engineering and drainage commission. That would be worked on the next phase of the submittal. Obviously, we have to meet all engineering and or building standards.
Okay. And I understand that, but I just wanted to make sure we walked through everything based on the information that was provided to us. I think, Mr. Chair, I think that covers a number of the specific questions I had at this particular time.
Any other questions? Questions from the other commissioners?
I would, Mr. Chair, I just have a question regarding this graphic. I'm sorry, thank you. Regarding the graphic that is on the screen right now, the blue building, those 2 blue buildings, which would be south of the property, are what? at this point?
Blue buildings.
Building is the adjacent property has no correlation with our proposed development.
What is that business there?
I think it's a vacant property. I'm not quite sure what the function is right now. It's been vacant the few times we've paid the site a visit.
So that is a building that is vacant as opposed to just vacant land, correct?
Yeah, it's a vacant building that is not owned by this developer and or developer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Jordan, questions?
No, my questions were asked already. Thank you.
I missed that. Did you say, Commissioner Jordan, questions? No?
I was just sharing that my questions were already asked.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Campbell.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the only thing that I had the same questions, but I never did see sheet number SP2.
SP2?
I mean, I'm sorry. SP1? Because there was a lot of questions on, so that's SP1 there?
That would be the site plan is considered SP1. Is
It doesn't say that on my sheet.
Yeah, it's kind of small. You see where my cursor is right there?
Uh-oh.
Let me zoom
I'm
in.
sorry.
I'm gonna zoom in a little bit for you to see.
Yeah.
See my cursor right here? It says sheet SP1. It should have been drawn up a little, it should have been bolded, I agree, but the depiction is right here where it says sheet SP1, where my cursor is highlighting it as we speak.
Down at the bottom
Down at the bottom.
corner.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And Chairman Wesley, I think in terms of Commissioner Sorensen's question earlier about what the vacant land was next to kind of the south of the proposed buildings, I think that used to be the state bar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think you're right. Okay. Commissioner Blauer?
I am okay at the moment. I believe we answered my questions.
Okay. Kilcawkins?
I'm okay. I think Mr. Joel handled all the questions I had too.
All right. Anyone have any discussion about the setup of the facility? Security? You know, did all those things get addressed in your handbook?
Yeah.
Looks good.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. The
Yes.
packets that were, the two additional smaller packets that were delivered this afternoon do go in depth regarding particularly cameras and detectors and so forth.
And lighting,
Right.
motion detectors.
Yeah, both internally and externally and so forth. And I also noticed on the other stuff that was submitted, the stuff of the lighting and so forth, as well as the oversized.
Okay. You know, and go ahead.
Yeah, it's Commissioner Jewell here again. And I know, and I think I've already asked this question, so I'll pass on it. I know when we usually do for approval for special regulated use, I usually ask the question of the walkthrough. And if my memory is correct, I think they did do a walkthrough for us, both in regards to the buildings and so forth.
Yeah, I think they were very thorough when they applied for the special regulated use.
Right.
Information. But I just wanted to make sure the commissioners were satisfied with especially the items that was on the checklist. And looking at the diagram, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a great improvement to the door corridor there. So, any other questions from the commission to the applicant? Any other questions from the commission to the applicant? Thank you. To the applicant, what is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair, oh, go ahead.
No, that's all right, Mr. Jewell.
No, it's your area. Go ahead.
All right, this is Commissioner Jordan. I was going to move approval of SPR 21-946, Secure Can Incorporated, requesting a site plan review at 2502 South Dort Highway, PID 412078030001. And with that noting that the applicant at the point of getting the building permits is going to need to satisfy the issues raised by the fire marshal in terms of water supply, any additional water supply, and fire apparatus access road, as well as the comments noted by city engineering in terms of the stormwater calculation and the potential for needing a gate at the back fence.
Your support.
Support.
Oh, was that Ms. Campbell?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Been moved and properly supported. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell here again. Just a question through you to Corey. Corey, I want to thank you for walking through the email that was received. I think we had addressed all of those particular items, did we not?
We did.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's fine with me, Mr. Chair.
If I could add one thing, I don't believe they've received approval for the parcel split. I believe they applied. I think that would be a good condition to include, that they provide proof of approval of the parcel split.
Okay.
Mr. Jordan?
Okay, I would be willing to amend my motion to include that it be contingent upon receiving approval for splitting the parcel as proposed.
I'm in my second.
Okay, it's been the request and the motion has been amended to add that condition, and the support has been amended. Commissioner Jewell, you was going to say?
Nope, I'm all okay.
No further comment from the commission. We have a roll at this time. For SPR 21946, Sercan Incorporated requesting a site plan review at 2502 South Dort Highway, PID 4120 278030001. The motion has been made upon the floor for approval with condition and properly supported. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Campbell,
Yes, for approval.
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes, for approval with conditions.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes, for approval with conditions.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Approved with conditions.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes, I also like to, thank the applicant. I think looking at the rendition, I'm pleased with the exterior and the design of the building.
It is
So
very nice.
thank you guys very much. And
Thank
your
you.
site plan had been approved.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Being part of this
Attorney Williams, if you're still there.
Yes.
Boy, I didn't have to bring you in on this one tonight, did I?
No, you didn't. You did a wonderful job, Mr.
Very
Wait.
good. Thank you so much, Brenda. You take care.
Okay, you guys have a nice evening.
You too now.
Yes, just saying.
The case reviews, the one that we're going to look at this evening is the, I got to find my list here, is SPR 20941, question about the Broome Center. I'm going to go first to Commissioner Blauer to deal with the ZBA meeting concerning the Broome Center. Commissioner Blauer?
Yes, sir. Last week, ZBA met February 16th, and on the agenda was the Sylvester Broome Empowerment Village continuation. We have seen them here before and as well as at ZBA. They came before ZBA asking for their variance, a non-use variance for the, as you remember, the coverage of the property was about 50%. So from 50% to 57% is what they were asking for. They did receive that variance. They also spoke in regards to ownership of that off-site parking parcel. They stated at the meeting that they have now ownership of that. Whether staff has received any proof of that, I will let staff speak on that. But they did speak before ZBA saying that they had ownership of that second parcel now. There were no other discussions on our conditions, so I would kind of pass it back to staff to see if they've made follow-ups on the conditions that we set before.
Okay, thank you. Bill or Corey, have you guys received anything from Sylvester Broome Empowerment Center concerning the off-site parking?
Commissioner Wesley, this is Bill
Acquisition
Vandercook.
about the,
Yeah, as of today, we have not received anything, any additional site plan update from Rowe Engineering for the Sylvester Broome project. And regarding the question that Commissioner Blauer brought up about the offsite and them actually acquiring that property, we do not have that documentation. I understand there was a closing verbally, and there was a date, but as of today, we do not have anything in writing that they've actually owned that. And I can tell you that I've been told more than once that they had bought the property and it turned out not to be the case. So I think that Commissioner Blauer's point about making sure we have the documentation is important. And that being an overall component of the site plan that they're bringing, back before us to review is important. So.
Okay. What is the desire of the commission? I think what we're looking at is maybe adjourning this till our meeting in March and make contact with them, letting them know we need to have verification of the acquisition of the off-site parking before this item can go forward. What is the desire of the commission? What does the commissioner think about that?
This is Commissioner Jordan. So if I'm going by my memory, the ZBA approval of the variance for lot coverage was one of many contingencies with the approval. Certainly the purchase of that lot that they intended to use for supplemental parking was another. There was also the need to get a written agreement with the city regarding who's going to pay the energy bill for the lighting on that supplemental lot. And I think the fourth one that I can remember had to do with needing a pedestrian striped walkway in the primary parking lot area from the main building to the new sports building. And so I would just suggest that whatever outreach occurs would need to cover all of those outstanding items so that we can just be clear that they all need to be completed before we can proceed.
Bill, did you get those
I did.
4 items down?
I did. Thank you. And I
Can we
will
re-
reach out to the engineer, Doug Scott from Rowe, and
Thank
the
you, Mr.
director.
Chair.
Yeah. And
Okay.
would it be appropriate just to CC you, Commissioner Wesley, so that you can see that that was followed up with?
Yes. Yes, see that, we send that communication to Rowe Engineering or whoever the lead person is on this, on this project.
And Mr. Chair, I do believe that all but I had forgotten about the memo of understanding between the city and the Broom Center, but I believe they verbally made reference to all of those conditions at the ZBA meeting. So it's just a matter of communication with them that they need to get that into us, because they made sure that they made reference to our conditions.
Okay.
Commissioner Wesley, Bill Vandercook, I will prepare an
Yeah.
email tomorrow and send that out to Sylvester Broom, to the Rowe Engineering and CCU, and at the commission's desire, let them know that it'll be brought up again at the next commission meeting.
Okay. SPR 2942, Greater Flint Mental Health Conditional, and SPR 2945, Community First Conditional Approval. I think we will adjourn these until our next meeting our first meeting in March. Do the commissioners think that'll be enough time to acquire the information that we need concerning those conditional approvals?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Joel. I'm
Yes.
fine with your decision recommendation to postpone these until March. I think it's March 9th is our next meeting, which hopefully will give both staff and the applicants an opportunity to review their status.
I know, Bill, a lot of this is going to fall on you. What do you think about that?
Just a quick update on Greater Health. That they're working on a survey right now that's not complete. They're working on they said there was going to be a purchase of an offlot again on this parcel. I don't have documentation that was complete. They're working on the overall site plan once a comprehensive ATL survey is done. And so I don't,
Should we move that to the second meeting?
I
March?
believe so. Yes.
Okay.
And also SPR 2945, Communities First. They're in the early stages. I've talked with the architect just yesterday. He's got a lot of work to do to update his site plan. And so I think both of these to the end of March would be appropriate, Commissioner Wesley.
Let's move both of those then to our second meeting in March. That would be,
The 23rd.
March
Correct.
23rd. Yep, March 23rd. We'll put them on the agenda, tentatively, so they don't get lost for March 23rd. And that would be SPR 2942 and SPR 2945. And SPR 2941 will be put on the first meeting in March. Those are some things that we could get some clarification on. Seems to be rather quickly. Okay. Next item, second meeting. Next item on our agenda will be public hearing. Our first public hearing is PC 21393, B and C of Flint, requesting a Group E special regulated use permit for a marijuana facility at, I think that should be 2533 Richfield Road, PID 4732 426 035. Is the applicant present? Is the
We're
applicant present?
Yes, we're
for-
present. Sorry, I didn't hit the unmute button.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you need to unmute yourself. Who do we have?
I'm Aaron.
And Brady Lane and my son Aaron.
Okay, Brady Lane. Okay. Okay, tell us about your requests.
We're applying for a medical and adult use permit at 2533 Richfield Road, a Group E provisioning center. We provided a business plan, executive summary to, just gonna renovate the building and put a provisioning center in the front part of the large building.
Okay. All right. Questions from the commission?
This is Commissioner Jordan.
Mr. Jordan?
I had a question. So I noticed in your application, you're applying for provisioning specifically.
Yes.
Is it also your intention to do growing on the site?
At a later time.
We want to open up the provisioning center and completely get it operating before we go any farther with the growing or anything else there.
So I think on one of the documents on the diagram of the floor plan, it looked like there were several grow rooms on the floor plan.
That's the intention.
And can you also speak to what relationship, if any, there is with Club Meds?
I own Club Meds also.
Okay, because I noticed that there's in the business plan, it's titled Club Meds Business Plan.
No. It's the Green Cure. No, if it said Club Meds, it's wrong. It's a misprint.
Okay, but I think that maybe we have the business plan from Club Meds rather than the proposed one.
No, this says right here, the Green Cure.
Should have been B and C of Flint doing business as the Green Cure.
Right, I do understand that, and much of the paperwork does say that. What I'm saying is that we have a business plan that's titled Club Meds Business Plan, and it talks about how it's located at 2840 East Court Street, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we just are perhaps having a missing document.
Yeah, that might have been just a paper that got mixed in with that.
Yeah, because that's the right one. Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is Commissioner Campbell. This is the executive summary. That's why we were looking for that information for the executive summary. And that's that Club Med is the 5th page from the back as part of the licensing or his business plan. That's where that Club Med came from.
don't know how they got in there at all. It's supposed to, I mean,
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have another question to the applicant.
Sure.
Ms. Campbell, Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Jordan, will you finish with yours?
I'm sorry,
Go ahead, please.
Okay, Commissioner Campbell, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Yeah.
The page, you have one procedures for testing.
yes,
Have we had that before? For just provisional center?
well, usually it has to be tested by the grower.
This
Before the
one here, this
before the
one
grower-
says that you're sending it to Ann Arbor. The lab is located in Ann Arbor.
Well, no, because every grow facility uses a different testing facility. And the only way for it to come to us from a grow facility through Metric is it has to be tested. Now, every grower uses a different tester. The Ann Arbor was just, there's a testing facility in Ann Arbor. That's, it's not up to us to test it because we cannot ship it into the provisioning center without it being tested. So I can't say that every single grower is going to use that facility in Ann Arbor. That's not up to me as a provisioning, or that's not up to us as a provisioning center. So
Is that something that we should have been made aware of? Though that it was going, because it said, looking at this, it's just like it's saying everything is being tested in Ann Arbor. But if an explanation is saying that not everything goes to Ann Arbor? Because not all
that you're correct. You're correct.
Okay.
It's not, everything does not go to the Ann Arbor testing facility because that decision is inevitably up to the grower.
Okay,
Because it has to be tested before it can even go into the metric system and become available to a provisioning center.
Commissioner Wesley, for a point of
Yeah.
order, that was an extra document that got put in there by the applicant that's not required for an executive summary. So it's an item it's not really pertinent at this time.
okay.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Jordan, though, but to follow up on Commissioner Campbell's point. So there are documents in here. The procedure for testing is one. The next page on the executive summary in terms of chemical and pesticide storage plan would be another. But these seem to pertain to growing
That's
rather than retail operations. And so again, I'm just wanting to make it very, very clear that this is not a growing license that you're
Correct.
considered for at the time, even though you've
Correct.
included a lot of materials that relate to growing.
Well, no, the hazardous material part was left in there because the state requires that wherever you store the bleach, wherever you store the Windex and the pledge, those are considered chemicals. They have to be behind a locked door at a provisioning center. The state requires that. That's probably why that paperwork was left in there.
Okay,
That
well,
had
just
nothing to
be-
do with a grow.
Okay, well, just so that you can understand where I'm coming from, I just like to read what's
No,
on the paper here.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it says all chemicals and pesticides will be stored in compliance with the state of Michigan requirements and store them in a locked room and safe container. This is for a grow license. So
Yes, but
nutrients used for growing and pesticides used for plant health will be stored in a locked and secure room, et cetera, et cetera.
I understand what you're saying. It was meant to just say hazardous chemicals for cleaning. That's what it should say. It shouldn't say the pesticides. You're correct. It said pesticides, and this is not for the special use permit is not for a grow, not at all.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, I wanted to make sure, my understanding is you're going to do the provisional in front, the front part of the building,
Correct.
and the growing is going to be at the end, the back of the building.
Correct.
Okay, so was this for both of them or just
Nope.
one?
No.
Just the one, just the provisioning center.
Okay, so the things that we were just discussing should not even be in here. It should be going into your growing versus your
Correct.
provisional.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure
It-
that you take these out.
Okay, yes.
And I had another question here. Okay, so now I'm looking at this and there's a lot of different dates. So it's, for instance, your articles of incorporation was filed in 2016. Your assumed name was done in 2014. Or I should say it was faxed on 2014. So you went to the assumed name and you only have one assumed name. So is this one that's in this packet just for the provisional center?
Yes,
Because you have to have two, because you have two different, you said you're gonna have the same name for both buildings evidently? At least that's what it says in here.
No, no, this location here, there was a confusion with the paperwork. There's a confusion with the paperwork because we're only speaking of B and C of Flint. We're only right now at the Green Cure B and C of Flint at 2533. There was somehow a cross with some paperwork.
So the attachment 3 is for the provisional center?
Attachment 3.
That assumed name? The assumed name?
Yes, yes.
And you will be getting another one when you open up the provisional center. I mean, the grow.
Yes, yes.
Okay. It was just confusing because it was like two different things going on in this one. So you need to take it apart and put part that goes with the provisional center, another part that goes with the growing.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Commissioner Jewell.
I have a couple of inquiries, if Commissioner Campbell is done.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. First off, I think it's important for us to remember we're looking at two special regulated uses. One is for medical marijuana facility, and the other is for an adult use. And so right now we're just focusing on the medical marijuana aspect of that. Secondly, it appears that there's some discrepancies in the documents, which may lead to have those documents corrected and resubmitted. But I do have a question regarding the medical marijuana aspect for our applicants in regards to walking me through. Here I am, a person coming in, walk me through the process.
As you enter through the front door.
Okay. Yeah, I come to the front door, so walk me through.
Then there'll be a retail space with some counters towards the back of the front of, in the front part of the building. In a secured display case with some pin, hanging boards behind that. And then a checkout station at two locations, one at each side, one at each end of the display facility, the lock display cases.
Now, I know you're applying for one's for medical marijuana and the other's for adult use.
Yes.
Can you, I'm assuming you're not separating out those two, but can you walk me through how the process is separated?
Well, one side would be adult use, the other side would have to be medical use. So one computer would be for adult use, one would be for medical.
Okay.
They have to be kept separate.
Okay. And I'm assuming when you come back for your site plan, review, you'll be able to clarify that.
Yes, oh, yes, yes.
Okay. Security. Give me a little insight regarding arrangements for security and so forth, both internal and external.
Camera will be catching every inch of the area. And 4 of the cameras will be linked directly to the police department through the CAT system. 2 inside, 2 outside. Midnight alarm will be on call. They're right around the corner. And what was the other name of the midnight alarm? So they're on call service. If the alarm goes off, they go out.
Okay.
You know, so the every entry point and exit point will be alarmed.
Right. Moving on, your surrounding area, your neighbors, your fellow colleagues. Tell me a bit about the surrounding areas.
Well, if you're looking at it from the street view, to the right is a RV hitching service system.
Right.
Behind us and to the left is a scrap yard. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
There's the scrap yard for
Nothing behind us.
automotive stuff.
It's an open field behind us. And then in front of us is the car auction.
Flint car auction.
Okay. Have you done any discussion with your, I'll use the term, neighbors?
Not really. The car auction, I don't even know who we'd talk to. But the hitch guy, I've been over there and bought things, but I've never really talked to anybody there.
Okay. And my reason for asking is you're going to be their neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other commissioners' questions?
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Jordan. Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I realize that we're not discussing the site plan, so I don't want to get overly nitty gritty onto the floor plan that's included. But because if you do have getting this license and come back for a site plan, it would be pertinent, so I want to raise it here. What I didn't hear you talk about as part of your security was any sort of screening process to verify in the case of medical that people have patient cards and that sort of thing. And then also in the general provision, the layout of the provisioning center, it looks at this point on the site, on the floor plan, it's just one big room without, I don't see any, reception desk or screening desk area, or, oftentimes there'll be restrooms that are available from the waiting area that are separate from whatever the secured part of the building is. So I just want to raise those here, not that you have to necessarily speak to them, but just to make sure that you're aware of them, because those would be the sorts of things that I would have questions about when it came time to look at an actual floor plan.
Okay. Okay. I'll make sure that the site plan has the reception area and the public bathrooms.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell, I have one more question. There is 2 lease agreements in here. One of them is on, this is on that page. It's attachment number 11, page 1, it says. Option 10 to purchase. You currently own that building?
Yes, I bought that from Advance Auto on a lease to own approximately almost 5 years ago. And I put it on a 5-year buyout.
Okay.
So in about 5 or 6 months, I'll own it outright, the building.
Okay. And my question was because on here it says this lease agreement is made as of January 21st. It says 11/21/2016. So that's the one you're talking about?
That's exactly the one.
Okay. And that was, you're purchasing that from Valley Master Partnership LLC? in
Yes,
North
that's,
Carolina?
yes, that's Advance Auto, yes.
Okay.
uh-huh.
Okay, so then there's another one.
And when I purchased that, I purchased it for the reason of a provisioning center going in there. But at that point in time, I could not do it because I was, I don't know, about 50 feet too close to a church.
Okay.
What happened to the church?
Well, no, they changed the rules a little bit. So it
Oh, they
made me
did.
legal.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, the ordinance got
They
changed.
did.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions from the commission to the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Wesley, I'm sorry, this is Campbell again. There's also another commercial lease in this packet from a Richfield Property Investors, Inc.
That's the corporation that the building is in. And that, I own that corporation.
And this is the part where the provisional center is going into?
Yes.
Okay, but it's a lease to whom?
The BNC of Flint.
I'm sorry. You're leasing it,
I'm gonna lease it to BNC of Flint.
oh, BNC, okay.
Yes,
And that's for 24,000.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions from the commission to the applicant? Any other questions from the commission to the applicant? I will open it up for the public now. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of PC 21393 B and C of Flint, requesting a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at 2533 Richfield Road, PID 4732426035. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? KZ, we have anybody out there on the line for this particular public hearing?
No.
That portion is closed. Anyone wishing to oppose? PC 21393 BC of Flint Incorporated, requesting a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at 2533 Richfield Road. Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. What is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Commissioner Campbell, I'd like to approve PC 21-393 BNC of Flint, Inc., requesting a Group E special regulation use permit for a medical marijuana facility at 2533 Richfield Road. PID is 47-32-426-035. And I also like to put a contingency is that this packet is completely torn apart and put together the proper way. So everything's separated out and so that it's complete versus having both of them together.
okay. Commissioner Campbell, when you say torn apart, you want the separation of what?
Yes, the one that we went through before at the Commissioner Jordan and I were talking about, some of that information do not belong in the provisional, but they only have this one set. So I just want to make sure the back of that, they take that information away and put it with them when they go to the next one.
To the growing process?
Yes.
Like the
'Cause this in
testing.
back do not go.
This is Commissioner Jordan, and so Commissioner Campbell, I appreciate that you're wanting to separate out anything that revolves around growing. That's not part of the request that's before us. Would you be amenable to also making a contingency of having the correct business plan?
Yes. Because it's very confusing. Thank you. Mr. Chair, also that condition is to have the corrected business plan.
Right. Do I hear support for the motion?
I have, excuse me, I have one more question, Mr. Chair. It might be a question for Bill, but it says here on the staff report that the subject is being.
Commissioner Sorensen, it's a motion on the floor at this time.
I'm sorry.
You need a support for the motion, and then maybe we can get that question addressed.
I support Commissioner Campbell's motion.
So moved and properly supported that PC 21393 B and C of Flint request for a Group E special regulated use permit for a marijuana facility at 2533 Richfield Road, PID 4732426-035 with the conditional with the provision being separated out from the growing and a corrected business plan. Would that cover it, Commissioner Campbell?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Discussion. Commissioner Sorensen, you had a question.
Just on the staff report for this PC 21393 as well as PC 21394, it says the subject is B and C of Flint, Inc. And then the location, the property, the subject location is south of Robert T, east of Kelso. I'm not sure I understand that.
That was an error on my part. I used a template and it's just saved from the original and it wasn't updated with the correct information.
Okay. Thank you, Corey.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. Follow up with Commissioner Sorensen's. I was going to raise that also. If just for the record that document on the staff report be corrected and noted. Secondly, regarding the conditions, we're voting on the medical marijuana special regulated use. And I think the items that both Commissioner Campbell and Jordan raised was some incorrect documents. So I think it's important that, yes, the business plan needs to be updated, but a number of those documents need to be corrected for this particular application.
Is that
And if that's
that's the provision and the growing, separate those out of there.
Right, but also there's reference to Club Med and so forth that's not relevant to this particular item as raised by Commissioner Jordan.
Right, so this is Commissioner Jordan, and just to be clear, in terms of correcting the business plan is the one that's incorrectly said Club Med, so that is the Club Med's issue.
I don't know. They got cost.
Yeah. That is part of it. Okay.
For just quickly for clarification, I know we've gone back and forth. The Club Med's business plan they're not saying that it was incorrectly labeled. This is the incorrect business plan, correct? It's not just a labeling issue or
It's
an error.
no, it's the wrong
This is
paper.
the wrong. And we
Yeah,
do
so-
not have the business plan, the current business plan. Is that correct?
I turned in the correct business plan. I thought that's what, this is the business plan that says, the Green Cure Business Plan, 2533 Richfield Road. I mean, I don't know. I understand that. This is what I turned in. I don't know, there was, it got crossed, it got, you know, I don't know exactly what happened, but, no, it shouldn't say that. I have the correct ones right here in front of me. And it starts at the very top, the Green Cure Business Plan, main goal, you know, 2533 Richfield Road. So I don't know how that happened or got in there.
Okay.
I didn't turn it in that way, is what I'm getting to.
Okay, so you have to put that one in when you separate things out with that. But it's a motion on the floor right at this time. Here, no other further discussion.
Oh, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Jewell here, just for clarification, just for the record for staff, were there any other communications or correspondence regarding this particular special regulated use? Hello?
Was that question to us?
No.
Yes,
That's
no, to staff.
That's for Bill or Corey.
I've not received anything. Have you, Bill?
No, I have not.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I just wanted a clarification.
It's a motion on the floor to approve PC 21393 with conditions. Roll. Hey, Bill, you on mute?
Thank you. Yes, I was. I apologize. Commissioner Ryan? Commissioner Campbell?
Yes, with excuse me, yes, with the information that's missing, and also the corrected business plan that you have a copy of, and we do not have that copy.
Okay. Sorry.
I'd like those included.
Commissioner Blauer? Commissioner Blauer?
She's probably muted.
Unmute, Commissioner Blauer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jewell?
Yes, with conditional approval with corrections.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins?
Yes, with corrections.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes, complying with the corrections.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley?
Yes. PC 21393 B and C Flint Incorporated request for a Group E special regulated use permit has been approved with conditions. Next item is PC 21394 BC of Flint Incorporated request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility at 2533 Richfield Road, PID 4732426035. The applicant, tell us about this facility for adult recreational use.
Special regulated use permit for adult use at 2533 Richfield Road, and be at the same location as the medical, but separated for the patients to go to a different site, different computer, different checkout station. But that would be determined at the reception desk.
Mr. Chair,
None? Yes, Ms. Campbell.
I'm not quite seeing, I do not have that information. That the gentleman is talking about.
That would be a different business plan.
That's a different business plan altogether.
That's a question we asked the applicant.
So I guess my question is,
Put it
did you
in.
also turn in a business plan for this one?
Yes, we did. Yep. At the top, it said adult use. I whited it out. It said adult use. Yeah, well, still special regulated use. Instead of medical use marijuana facility, it's whited out and I put in special use marijuana facility. It's like a.
So, Mr. Chair, I guess
It was turned in.
I'm at the point, Mr. Chair, where since we do not have this one, and that we know that we're gonna have that he's gonna have to turn in a new completed one, business plan.
No, I turned it in. I whited that out, turned it in.
I understand, but I did not.
No, I get it. You didn't get it. I understand where you're coming from, but.
Okay.
I was,
If you need another one, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Anybody else get it?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes, Commissioner Jewell. I'm looking for mine.
I think it may be appropriate to direct our inquiry to staff regarding the document.
For this one.
For this one, the
Correct.
second one. And the first one.
Bill?
What specifically is the question I was on?
Looking for the adult use.
So the adult
Special
use.
For PC 21394.
Yeah, that application should have been in the package. I have the application and the application is still in the, it's
Yeah, I got City of Flint. It says adult use marijuana facility.
correct. It should be in the application. There's two applications.
Yeah.
One was for medical. It's possible
Right.
that Commissioner Campbell did not receive a copy. It
No,
is
I'm
possible.
Campbell,
No,
look at your the application. You got one that says City of Flint, medical marijuana facility, special regulated use permit, license application. And it should, then you should have another one that says City of Flint, and then written in where it says adult use, medical marijuana, special regulated use provision.
I have that. I was talking about the business plan itself, which is with the understanding that the client has a copy of one, the business plan itself, and I do not.
Okay, you're looking for the business plan for that, right?
Yes.
So this is
I have
Commissioner
that
Jordan.
sheet.
So this is Commissioner Jordan. If I might, at least so the version I have that's kind of, I'll call it the executive summary document. It says at the top, medical and adult use. I think staff might have written that. And so I think to Commissioner Campbell, I think that it's the same set of documents that they provided in terms of insurance, business plan, staffing, et cetera.
It says medical and adult use attached number 2. Is that the one you have, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, this is Cook Hawkins. I don't have that document either.
Okay, the one that says, it's handwritten, it says medical and adult use attached number 2.
I see it has the City of Flint adult. I have that one, but I don't have the other one. Right.
It's the same, if you got the, if you had the one for the medical marijuana facility, City of Flint medical marijuana facility, it should have been in that, it should have been with that one.
So the same packet that had the mix up with the Club Med's business plan.
Club Med
it's
business
the same
plan.
packet. They're using the same exact packet for both of the applications.
Oh, so the first one is actually the second one as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I clarify, Commissioner Wesley?
Got it.
The applicant, the
Okay,
if you don't
go
mind,
ahead, Bill.
the applicant can submit 2 signed applications, and commissioners should have 2 signed applications, 1 signed application for medical, 1 signed application for adult use in their package, 2 separate signed applications. In addition to that, there should be 1 executive summary that would cover both medical and adult use, only one executive summary. It's going to be the same executive summary.
And Bill, that document that you're referring to as executive summary has the City of Flint logos on the top. It says City of Flint, and it says Special Regulated Use Application Submitted Guidelines, correct?
That's the submittal guidelines, and so that would be the checks for the.
Is that the executive summary?
So the executive, this is the executive summary, the first page showing is the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs filing endorsement.
Okay.
Correct. That's correct.
That's the executive summary.
Right.
Okay.
And we can
Okay,
use
well,
the same.
I have that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and we can use that executive summary for both medical and for adult use.
Okay.
I
Correct.
hope that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarifies, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
That's why there's only a need for 1 checklist that has both adult and medical on it. And 1 would be for PC 21-393 and PC 21-394.
Correct. Okay, Commissioner Campbell, you got that one now?
I do have that, but my question is that the gentleman, Mr. Brady, I believe his son, he held
Mary.
up pages that I do not have. Sir, could you hold those up again? He had written where it said the name of it, which is the green cure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and it
we do
had
not
a
have it.
copy, and it had a copy of the LLC assumed name. Because it has to be one for each business. And I don't see that. I'm sorry in my.
Are you speaking of the business plan?
Yes, and it has to have.
I thought Bill was just saying that you could use the same one for the medical as well as the adult. Wasn't that just what he was saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
How
in the executive pack.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I think it may be appropriate for staff to clarify the documents that they have and what's appropriate for us to utilize.
Yeah, I can address that, Commissioner Wesley, and thank you for the question, Commissioner Jewell. I don't know if legally that Kelly may be able to help. She's on the phone too. If legally they can operate a medical and adult use with 1 corporation, right? And so that's unclear. I do know that they can supply 1 executive summary to us. And that was the only point that I was making. They could supply us with 1 executive summary. Possibly that has to have 2 corporations in, 1 for medical and 1 for grow. I've never seen that before, but
we're not speaking of a grow, you're right, Bill?
I'm sorry, I apologize. 1 for medical and 1 for adult use. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is Kelly Thompson.
Hey, Kelly.
There's no prohibition in the state law regarding having a co-located facility for provisioning and adult use under 1 corporation or DBA. There's no restriction on that.
So that's saying that they can use just the 1 for both?
All right, let's go.
Correct.
Okay,
I don't know if
Yeah.
that helps answer the question of the paperwork that we're talking about, but in terms of having one under the same corporation, that's permitted.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. If we go back to the historical perspective, a number of corporations or entities or business entities have applied before us for different types of special regulated use. This particular entity, BNC, is also known as the Green Cure, is before us to apply for two special regulated uses. One is for medical marijuana, and the other is for adult recreational use. It's my understanding that the documents submitted to us, two applications, which are before us, as well as the staff reports, as well as the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulated Affairs filing endorsement packet, as well as the special regulated use application checklist, provides us the information that we need, which we have had made use of in previous reviews.
So let's go.
Yes.
yeah. You can deal with both of those, same one. So, questions from the commission to the applicant concerning the recreational use, adult recreational marijuana retail facility.
This is Commissioner Jewell again, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Is it Aaron or is it Brady that I'm talking to?
Aaron.
Aaron. Aaron,
Yes.
my apologies for mispronouncing. My
It's
sincere
all right,
apologies.
man. It's all right.
I think you've already addressed this because for the last one, I asked you to walk me through. So let's just go back through again. So I've arrived at the door and I'm there just specifically for retail adult use.
Yes.
Walk me through.
You walk through the double doors. You'll be greeted by a receptionist. That receptionist will determine if you're recreational or medical and send you either left or right for whichever one is appropriate. And then
Okay.
again, there'll be the checkout stations and then secured display cases containing the product and
So
more product on the walls.
So would the only difference of the facility, since we talked about, and we're not looking at site plan, but we talked about security, et cetera, so is the only difference regarding medical usage versus adult usage is two separate processing efforts?
Yes.
And I'm not talking about processing marijuana. I'm talking about
Right.
processing my purchase
Processing the customer's purchase. Yes.
or requirement. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the commission to the applicant? Okay, hearing none, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone out in the public wishing to speak in favor of PC 21394 BNC of Flint Incorporated request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility at 2533 Richfield Road, PID 4732426035. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? KZ, as always, is anyone on the line in reference to PC 21394?
There is none.
Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose PC 21394 BNC of Flint Incorporated request for a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational facility marijuana retail facility at 2533 Richfield Road. Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose? KZ, have we received any other correspondence regarding, or Bill, any other correspondence regarding PC 21394?
There's been no other correspondence.
Okay. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. What is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve PC 21-394 B and C of Flint, Inc., requesting a Group E special regulated use permit for an adult use recreational marijuana retail facility at 2533 Richfield Road, PID 4732 426-035.
Do you want to put some of the stipulations that we placed on PC 21393 on to PC 29314 as far as the corrected business plan?
Well, Mr. Chair, I would say yes, but after Mr. Brady held up something that I do not have, I don't know if that was a business plan or not. Because he said his said green cure. So if not, then we would need to, again, take this apart.
That was just the correct business plan that I
Okay,
turned in,
Okay.
but you guys did not get.
Commissioner
Okay.
Wesley, for a
Yeah.
point of order,
Yes.
Casey and I went over the applicant material 3 times with Mr. Lane. On page 56 of his document that I'm looking at right now, it says Club Mats. It does not say Green Cure. So it's just an issue that he can resolve with us. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a problem, but definitely the document he sent in does not say B and C. So
Okay.
All
I have
right.
a seamless PDF document that I've opened up here on the computer that we have. So
Yeah, that's Bill. Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I
Yes.
think we need to go back to Commissioner Campbell, if she's receptive to adding the same with conditional approval based on the same corrections as noted on the other one.
yes.
All right. Do I have support for the motion?
Commissioner Jordan, support.
I'll support Commissioner Campbell.
Okay, Commissioner Jordan beat you to the punch, Commissioner Sorensen. Thanks again. It's been moved and properly
That's fine.
supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll.
Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Campbell,
Yes, with the corrections.
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes, with conditions.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes, conditional approval with corrections as noted.
Commissioner Cook Hawkins,
Yes, with correction.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes, with compliance to the corrections.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. To the applicant, your special regulated use request has been approved with those
Yes.
corrections outlined.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next item on our agenda is PC 21395 Hangdog Holdings Incorporated. Request a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at 3756 South Dorr Highway, PID 4120 476-048. Is the applicant present?
This
Yes.
is Mike Anthony Rogi. Sorry. And I'm the attorney, Mike Bahura, representing the applicant as well.
Your name again?
My name is Mike Bahura, B as in boy, A-H-O-U-R-A.
B as in boy, A-H-O-U?
Correct, R-A.
R-A. Okay. Okay, tell us about your application here.
Sure. This is for proposed site is at 3756 South Dort. It is currently vacant. It's been vacant since 2019. It was previously a Pizza Hut, and then there was another tenant, I think, a Veterans Club Diner that was in there for a short while, but it has been vacant since July of 19. Mr. Morogi is the sole member of the company. It would be operating under the assumed name of Green Vibe. Although I did see, Chairman, that you got a chuckle out of the the entity name. It would be operating under a Green Vibe. I think we put those assumed name documents in there. I think, and I don't know if there was a miscommunication or not. I see on the agenda that it's only for approval for medical at this time, but I guess I thought it was for both, for an adult use retailer as well as a medical. So I don't know if there's a way that we can, how would we be able to go about doing that? The application would essentially be the same. And going back to the last applicant, I know there were some questions about operating under the same entity. And the city attorney was exactly right. It's a matter of fact, it has to be under the same entity. The MRA will not allow two separate entities co-locating in the same address with what they call equivalent license type. So whether it's growing or processing, or in this case retail, if it's for medical and it's for recreational, it has to be under the same entity to be in the same location, at least to operate out of the same building. And so that's what our ultimately what we hope to have here. We did submit a floor plan kind of outlining what the space would look like, where the break room would be, where the sales floor is, the waiting room when you walk in, reception area, and secured area for I think the architect called it a vault. So that's laid out there. It's a freestanding building. There's plenty of parking. It fits well within that corridor down on Dort with other retail type businesses that are there. Mr. Morogi, a little background on him. He was for quite a while in the bar industry, operating several Bar Louis across the state, and I think even out of state. And Anthony can maybe chime in if you have any questions about that. So he's been in a regulated industry before, and was successful with that. He did end up selling that business a couple of years back. So he's now getting into the cannabis space, like many others in the state. If there's any questions about any of the application materials, I'm certainly more than happy to try and answer them for you.
Questions from the commission to the applicant?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. And is it Anthony? Mr. Morogi?
Anthony Morogi.
Anthony Morogi. Yes. As you probably heard with the other applicant, if you could, and it's my understanding at this particular time, since we only have the application for medical marijuana, we're just addressing the medical marijuana. Could you just walk me through?
Do you mind if I answer, Commissioner?
Yeah, he's representing us, so he's more in tune with the application stuff.
Well, Anthony, I'd rather hear from you. You're the owner, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm looking at the floor plan and stuff. So walk me through.
You know what? I'm not in front of it right now because I thought my Mikey was handling it all.
Yeah.
Let me 1 second here.
So
When you
if-
walk
if
in,
I-
there'll be there's there's a reception when you walk in as far as, in a seating area, most like the other ones pretty much. And, basically they just, they come in and they sign in or what have you. And, they let them in and they ask for the
Yeah,
patient
Mr.
card.
Bowery, I appreciate it, but I'd like to hear from the owner.
Right, but
that
respectfully, this is going to be his first location, and I think I put that in the application. And so as a consultant and an attorney that they've hired, we help design the facility. It's not like as if he has experience already in this particular space, certainly has experience in retail space. And so, prior to opening for business, of course, he would get the necessary training in person and all that. Probably would be better suited to answer the question at that time, but I can certainly appreciate that you want to hear from him. But if you'd like me to chime in, I can tell you how we laid it out based on other facilities that we have done.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that,
Mm-hmm.
but you're just consulting him, okay? He's the actual owner and the operator. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Morogi, I'm going to mispronounce it. My sincere apologies. So, Mr. Morogi,
yeah.
Walk me through. This is going to be your place. Tell me what's going to be happening when I get there.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I gotta pull up the image here. I didn't expect this part, but again, I've been in many retail businesses. This is new to me, so as we get going, I'm gonna get more in tune with training, all that stuff. But I know I'm trying to pull it up right now. But as what I remember of, because I don't have it in front of me, you walk in, we'll have our reception area, and we'll have our seating on the right side over there. We'll ask the customer for their patient card to make sure that they have everything they need to get in there. And then we will let them in and, let them, get their stuff and come back out and check out. Let me see if I can find it here. A second. So we'll have a second set of doors to go into the retail area to block it off. So you'll have your seating area, and then they'll go and they'll make their purchase and come back out after they sign everything in and they'll be on their way. But the basic layout is going to be showcases and shelving and everything else. So if they don't have a card, it's a restricted area, so they won't be able to enter the sales area.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always going to make sure that they have what they need and make the purchase, and then they can leave. But like I said, I've been in a lot of retail businesses. This is new to me, so I wasn't sure what I was going to expect on the call. But we've been I had over 600 employees in my last business. We had 9 restaurants in state and out of state corporately, with liquor license and food. Managers and managers, employees never had any kind of infraction or anything else like that. We always went by the law and everything else, and we'd like to run our stuff very quickly.
Well, maybe you can. I understand the scenario, but maybe you can give me a little insight to the management process.
As far as managing, we're going to have a couple of family members training at other facilities of people that we know to make sure that they have all the know-how and what they need to do. And on top of that, I will be there every day watching over everything and making sure everything is intact and they're doing the right things. But it's going to be more, we're going to have operators that have a lot of, training. We're going to try to get them trained starting as soon as we know we're going to get approved. We'll have them start training right away on our dime just to get them where they need to be. And I'll be training as well. We'll be there daily watching over the operations.
Okay. How about security? Tell me a little bit about the security.
We were going to have, we need the fence, and we'll have multiple cameras, and we're going to have cameras everywhere around the area to keep that, to make sure we see everything, and also to detour people, that make sure that there's no problems. So they see the cameras, keep them out of there kind of. We'll make sure we meet all the MRA and everything else, regulations, what we need to do. If we need a security guard and anything like that security company, we'll hire them as well. And in the city of Flint, I'm not sure what if you have there or not. But sales floor will always be secured with somebody in there just in case of any problems.
And then my last inquiry is your neighbors, your immediate surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about your immediate surroundings.
You know what? We haven't talked to any of our neighbors, so I didn't know if that was something. There's AutoZone there, I know, which is corporate, and Arby's, another corporate restaurant. So most likely we'd be talking to the managers. They're not owner. It's not a owner operator or anything like that. It's just shopping behind us, like a strip center behind us, and all the rest is retail basically. And the two next to us are corporately owned.
Mm-hmm. Well, my reason for asking about your local neighbors, businesses, and so forth is because sometimes some business folks and others have difficulties with a medical marijuana facility or a retail operation opening and so forth.
Sure. Well,
so
if that's something we after hearing the last guy, I didn't think about that, but that's definitely something we will do. We'll meet the managers, whoever's in those places around us, whether it's the restaurants or the retail behind us. I have no issue going there and talking to them. I bet, in all my businesses, I've always been friendly with all my competition, my neighbors, my whatever it is. I was always the go-to guy, even with the landlords. They would always call me for issues and stuff like that, or anything they need. I'm always in tune with what's going on in the area.
Right. I appreciate that. And just a clarification, I'm looking through your packet, and I've noticed you got your driver's license in here, which is required, but it expired.
Did it?
Well, the one
we applied.
The one I'm looking at.
It's probably back in 2019 for this. That's probably why.
I got a new one now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says 6/29/2020 and so forth.
Yeah. It's been a while.
We submitted this application in November of 2019, not to interrupt, just to kind of clarify why perhaps there's an expired driver's license in there.
Well, I appreciate that information, and sometimes we need to do follow-up and corrections and updates and so forth.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, those are a number of the questions that I have at this particular time.
And I think some of the issues that you were requiring we deal with on our site plans. And
right.
I see that he's going to be hiring competent staff, I'm sure, and I understand he has a training process for staff that's coming in. Are there any other questions? Commissioners have questions for the applicant?
Commissioner Jordan, I guess
Commissioner Jordan, go ahead.
My question may be more so towards staff, although the applicant is certainly willing or is welcome to chime in as well. So based on our ordinance, there's, I think, up to 4 group A or group E special uses within the 2,000-foot radius. I know that there's at least a couple other marijuana establishments already on that part of Dort Highway, and there is an adult use or an adult entertainment place just the other side of Dort Highway on Atherton as well. So just wondering from a kind of the concentration standpoint in terms of the number of group A and group E uses within 2,000 feet of that space, is that something you could address?
Commissioner Wesley?
Yes.
Regarding Commissioner Jordan's question, KZ and I reviewed the data today, and I think KZ, that's her specialty. She should be able to answer that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we did find that there are 3 Group A around the facility within the 2,000 feet.
Casey, could you repeat that, please? It got a little fuzzy on my end. I couldn't
Yeah.
quite hear you.
Oh, sorry. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay. So there is approximately 3 Group A's / E's within the 2,000 feet of the facility.
Okay, so thank you. So by the fact that there's already 3, the cap is 4. If this were to be approved, that would be the 4th.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that confirmation.
May I ask a
This would
question?
be the 4th.
Okay. May I ask a question related to that? Would we be able to add a recreational to be at the same location, to be co-located under the same entity and the same ownership? Or would that be number 5, I guess? Or is it not count as number 4?
It's a good question.
Commissioner Wesley, this is Bill Vandercook. Kelly
Yeah,
could
Bill.
answer that just to verify this, but co-location doesn't count as a
Except for
5th
you.
one. Kelly,
This is Kelly Thompson. Yes, I have to double check the ordinance. I don't know that off the top of my head. I'm looking at it right now.
If it doesn't, then great. But if it does somehow prohibit us, could we respectfully request that we take the adult use instead of the medical? And I can explain why, if you'll indulge me. But basically, in Michigan, what's happening is all the cannabis sales have shifted or are continuing to shift from medical to adult use. And the main reason for that is at a 10% excise tax in Michigan on recreational products, which is the lowest in the country. There is just not a lot of incentive for medical marijuana card holders to kind of renew their cards. As a matter of fact, I think last year, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 or 50,000 patients did not renew their card. And that's according to the MRA and Director Brisboe, who I've heard him speak on this issue a few times. They have to go and meet with their doctor and pay that fee. They have to go to the state of Michigan and renew that card and pay that fee. And so for only 10% more at tax at the retail level, they're just seeing a tremendous shift towards people just not renewing their cards because they can walk into a recreational store and be able to purchase more or less the identical product. And so they're seeing a tremendous drop off on the number of medical patients. And so to be a sustainable business and obviously to make this investment worth it, to not have this building vacant after 6 months or a year where you have adult use stores in the same city and you're only medical, you just won't be able to survive. And we've seen that play out, city after city, where the cities that either don't have adult use or have some adult use and some the med stores just, are having trouble surviving. And so if it's one or the other, certainly we would much rather have the adult use so that this place has a chance of being successful and a sustainable business in the city.
Attorney Thompson, have you found anything yet?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm trying to find a specific citation so we can put it in the record. And I know that we have some existing places, co-located businesses that are just counted as one. So with that already in place, I would assume that they don't count as 2. I just wanted to get the citation and put that in the record.
Yeah, I think it would probably just count as 1.
Right.
Sure.
I'm comfortable saying that now, but I want to solidify it with the citation. So.
Okay. Other questions from the commissioners to the applicant? Other questions from the commission to the applicant? Hearing none, we open it up for the public. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of PC 21395? Hendog Holdings Incorporated requests a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at 3756 South Dort Highway, PID 4120476048. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? KZ, do we have anyone on the line in reference to this particular PC 21395?
We do not, and we do not have any correspondence as well.
Okay, and no correspondence. Anyone wishing to oppose PC 21395 Hendog Holdings Inc. request for a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at 3756 South Dort Highway? Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose? I've called previously for anyone on the line. We noted there was no one there, and there's no correspondence as indicated. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. What is the desire of the commission?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jordan.
Jordan,
Regarding PC 21395, Hendog Holdings Incorporated requests a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at 3756 South Dort Highway, PID 4120476048. I would move approval of the request with the findings that the location meets all of the established requirements in terms of zoning, and that it is within the cap of no more than 4 Group A or Group E facilities within a 2,000-foot area, and has met all the other locational standards.
Support.
so moved and properly supported. Was that Commissioner
I'm
Campbell?
sorry, Commissioner. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. So moved and properly supported. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, this is Kelly Thompson.
Yes.
So for the record, the citation would be the newly adopted 5183, and that's subsection F8. F as in Frank, number 8. So that's found on page 18 of the ordinance. And it flows over into page 19. So it says if they're co-locating, then the special regulated use is added to the existing special regulated use permit. So that's the citation there. So they don't count as 2 for that locational restriction.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just for my understanding, since we've got a lot of informational overload tonight, so if they come back to apply for an adult recreation use, and that's approved, that would still fall for that location. That those 2 special regulated uses would be counted as 1.
This is Kelly Thompson. That's correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure to be of support to the applicant.
Thanks, Bill. Kelly, can I, and Chairman, can I ask a question to City
Go
Attorney?
ahead.
Kelly, is there an opportunity that if we apply for recreational, because like I was explaining earlier, we kind of need it. Is there an opportunity that we don't get approved, assuming site plan and everything else is I mean, even if someone comes after us, we're still are kind of holding the spot, if I'm understanding correctly, with the medical?
Yeah, and I want to make sure that I'm answering your question appropriately, or understanding your question. So you're saying between now and the time that the adult use permit is approved, your question is you won't be buffered out by any applications we receive in the meantime. Is that your question? Okay.
That's exactly my question.
Yes, and I think we can hold that. I would just let staff know that, because you have submitted the application for the adult use, correct? It just hasn't been put on the agenda yet?
Well, I don't know. So when we applied in back in, again, this application is from back in October, November of 19. At that time, if my memory serves me correctly, there wasn't even a formal application. And I was told it wasn't Bill, I can't remember who the planner was at that time, that we don't have an application for adult use, just fill it out on the medical one and we'll process it that way. So
Right.
candidly, I was under the impression that this was for an adult use application this whole time.
Let me,
Oh.
Commissioner Wesley, if you don't mind it, if I clarify, Casey and I went over the application that was submitted, and it is a medical application. It came in on January in the container from years ago, resubmitted on January 4th, February 17th, and February 18th electronically in a PDF format. We reviewed the application. The application is for medical, and a payment had to be remade because there was a check still in the box, so dated that Michael refunded that check for us. So he would still have to apply for the adult use.
Yeah, I can have an adult use application submitted, tomorrow or Friday, Thursday at the latest.
So to answer your question, we can hold the spot for you as long as your application is submitted. So it's determined by the date of submission. So if you submit yours before any others that might buffer you out, then your position is locked in.
Right, but we're the fourth regulated use, even with the medical approval, right? So if another person came, hypothetically in March in the next meeting, there's already 4 now, right? So I don't think they could buffer us out. If I'm understanding the ordinance, and if I'm wrong, by all means feel free to correct me. Just want to make sure I understand it correctly.
I think that is correct.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we're in the middle of a motion.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
that was the discussion part.
Okay.
Yeah,
Further
sir,
discussion. I haven't
just
called for the
to
roll
wrap
yet.
this up. Yeah, we can talk about this outside of the meeting too. I think that I'm a bit confused as to your specific question, so
Okay.
we can
I
talk about this
apologize.
tomorrow too. No,
There you
that's all
go.
right.
Thank you.
He just want to know is he gonna get kicked out of the queue. So if we say we don't kick him out,
Sometimes us lawyers complicate things, but that's exactly right.
okay.
And I'm complicating the question, so I'm not helping.
Yeah. There's a motion on the floor for approval of PC 121395 Hendog Holdings, Inc. for approval. Roll.
Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Campbell,
Yes, with conditions.
Commissioner Blauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell,
Yes, with conditions.
Commissioner Hawkins,
Yes, with conditions.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes, and just to be clear, there were not any conditions on
There's
this
no condition.
particular
What
recommendation.
The
conditions?
conditions was I thought the condition was that we're not quite sure, that the attorney is still looking to make sure that the co-location. Didn't she
No,
say she was still?
we answered that question. They can have a co-location. It won't be additional. It won't increase.
I understand that, but the point that, as the gentleman was saying, that if someone comes in tomorrow and bring their application in, and he comes on Friday, then what will that do? So if we're gonna, didn't she just say we were gonna hold that spot for him?
Not
That
really.
wasn't the
No,
question.
We can't.
There's no contingency on the
there's no
motion.
contingency for
I
us
think
on
staff
that.
is going to follow up.
Commissioner Wesley,
Yes. Oh, you was calling for the vote for me?
yes, Commissioner
Yes.
Wesley.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. PC 21395 Hendog Holdings Incorporated requests a Group E special regulated use permit for a medical marijuana facility at 3756 South Dordt Highway. PID 412476-048 has been approved.
Thank you, commissioners, and thanks for your help, Bill and Keezy and Kelly on this as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. Commissioner, just to clarify, if you don't mind, even though he's the fourth special regulated there, so it's a medical. It gives him the right to come in with his adult use, so he won't be put in a queue. He can bring that adult use application into us, and we'll process that. He can come back to the commissioner. So once we have time to review the case again, is my understanding. Kelly
That's
can
correct.
confirm that, but just so that Michael and the owner's aware of that.
That's correct.
Thank you.
That's my understanding too, Bill.
Yes, okay. All right, next item on our agenda is PC 21396, Sedgwick Fedewa Architect requests a principal conditional use permit to allow for an office at 3310 West Oakley Street, Flint, 48503, PID 4119253030. Is the applicant present? And thanks for holding on.
Yes, I'm present. I'm Michael Murphy from Sedgwick Fedewa Architects. And also on this meeting is Nick Burnett, owner of Flat Rock Manor, and Carrie Eldridge.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell. I just need a clarification. Is the applicant Sedgwick or is it Flat Rock Manor?
I filled out the form for Flat Rock Manor. Flat Rock Manor is the actual applicant and building owner.
Okay, because when I looked at the application, and okay, I'll accept the agent part. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, I'm the agent for Flat Rock Manor.
Okay, I just wanted to double check after I read. Thank you ever so much, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. To the applicant, tell us about your request for a conditional use for this facility.
Mr. Chair, just a quick item. My apologies for jumping in. In my packet, I had a Flint site plan checklist also included. Can staff clarify that?
So you're just going to be making a motion on the conditional use permit, but the site plan review checklist was there for your informational purposes.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to double check. So, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I guess
just tell us about your request for this conditional use, please.
All right, let me first just kind of give you a backstory of the building, and then Nick and Carrie can add in afterwards. I believe the original building was built in the early 60s. Social Security changed hands over to from business to education with the academy, and then I believe the academy vacated, and then there was some business between that, and then the building went up for auction maybe 3 years ago, and Flat Rock Manor purchased the building. And in that time, a change of use was never submitted. So taking over from a business, we assumed that it was business use. And then upon doing some work there and submitting drawings, they wanted us to go through the change of use. So I worked with Nick and Carrie and Bill from the city and Corey, and presented the PD or the plan that all of you have in front of you. So that's my background. If you want any information about the Flat Rock Manor itself and the use of the building, Nick and Carrie are here for you to answer questions.
Nick, why don't you give us a brief overview of your intended use for the building?
So again, my name is Nicholas. The intended use for the building will be primarily just a corporate office for Flat Rock Manor, which is an assisted living that takes care of the developmentally disabled and mentally ill. We had requested for half of the building to be a business use and half of the building to be used for a day program in the future.
Let me get back with you. I'm on a meeting. What's happening?
What's that?
He's on the phone, Nick.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'll call you back. No. Okay. Did I miss something? Where are you going?
I'm listening to you. I was waiting for you. It sounded like you were
Okay.
on the phone.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so again, corporate office for the assisted living that we have. And then half of the building would, hopefully be zoned for a day program at a future time.
And to add to what Nick is explaining, so Nick has his very first assisted living was downtown Flint. And over the years, he's spread out into Flushing, Goodrich, Lapeer, Flint Township. So he's grown a business starting from Flint. And when this building came around, initially thought maybe it could be assisted living, but then it turned out to be the perfect spot for Nick to create a corporate headquarters for the business that he's been growing. He's the second largest assisted living for like autistic adults and mentally challenged adults in the state of Michigan. And so he, in growing the business, he needed some type of a business headquarters. So this became a great fit for him, being that he started downtown Flint and he's gonna, invest in Flint and keep his corporate headquarters in Flint.
Questions from the commission to the applicant? Here now, to Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
You have assisted living facilities, is my understanding, I think from what I read, you're gonna have people bust in for class work and that type of thing and then bust out the same day?
That is correct.
That's Nick talking.
That's
I'm sorry.
Nick. Okay.
Yes.
Nick's the owner. I'm just his architect.
Okay. Nick.
Yes. That is correct. Bust in and bust out, same day, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
How many individuals are we talking about?
Well, currently I have 200 clients total with all of my assisted living. I'm sure probably a third of them would benefit from a program. So I guess it's, there's not a set number, but it wouldn't be probably at any time over 100, but.
And there might be some that would attend for just half a day,
Okay.
just depending on their skill level and their functioning level.
Who is speaking now?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Carrie.
Gary Aldrich is the chief operating officer.
The activities are going to be more simple life skill things that you could teach them so they have just a little bit more independence.
Okay. Other questions from the commissioners to the applicant? Nobody have any questions? That's amazing.
Neither, and I'm okay, Bob.
Oh, I just want to make sure you was all right back there.
Yeah, right.
I think it's
Do a
always good.
wellness check on Jewel.
Yes. Okay. No other questions from the commission to the applicant? Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak in favor of PC 21396, Sedgwick Fedewa Architect requests a principal use permit to allow an office at 310 West Oakley Street, PID 41 192533030. Anyone wishing to address the commission on this request?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
State your name,
My name is
please.
William Jones. For myself and most of the neighbors I talked to, we approve of what they've done there with 310 Oakland. It's exceptional property. The only question we had was the fence at the end of 218 Lindsay on their property has been twisted, bent for a long time, and a mound of dirt, which takes away the curb appeal. We was wondering if they were gonna, do that part of it since they've spent so much on that property.
So you wanted to go repair the fence, huh?
Yeah, it was just curb appeal. It's exceptional property. We commend them on what they done with it. But it would look even better if the fence was straightened out, which is a minor thing.
I
and
agree
the,
with
and
you,
the amount
William.
of dirt that sits right there at the end of the street. You see it when you come down the street or you stand on the porch.
Yep, I
But
agree
we
with you,
commend
William.
them and we approve it, what they're doing with it.
Okay.
Thank
so
you,
that
William.
that was in favor to the applicant. All right. We can discuss that one, but that was speaking in favor of the conditional use permit. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Anyone else wish to speak in favor? KZ, anybody else on the line, you think?
There's no one else and no correspondence.
Okay.
Commissioner Wesley, Bill Vandercook, would you mind? I'm not from the public,
Yes.
but would you mind if I speak? I've had some.
Sure, Bill.
Yeah, thank you. I've had some past experience with Nicholas and Carey with other facilities, and I can tell you that, including this one, they've worked to be compliant, and in goodwill, I think with what they've done, at times they've had neighbors come against what they're trying to do, and the state at times has had to come in and actually support what they're trying to do. So I just want to let you know that what I've seen from Nicholas and Carey in the past has been compliance. So from other facilities, and I believe with this one too, they're trying to be, from the first time I ever met them, they talked about this property, and it's one of the ones that they wanted to be in compliance with, so.
Okay. Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose PC 21396, Sedgwick Fedewa Architects request for a principal conditional use permit to allow for an office at 310 West Oakley Street, Flint, PID 41 192533030. Anyone wishing to oppose? Anyone wishing to oppose? There's, as I understand it, there's no other correspondence, and there's no one on the line at this time. So that portion of the public hearing is now closed. What is the desire of the commission?
Commissioner Jordan,
Commissioner Jordan.
I guess before I make my motion, I have, based on the public testimony, just a question for the applicant. And that question would be, the gentleman who spoke made mention about a fence that needed to be repaired and a pile of dirt near it. Is that something that you would be prepared to address?
Yes, that's already being addressed. We have hired Michigan Fence to repair that section of fencing, along with putting a new gate up at the front of our location off of Oakley Street. it will be, I'm sure, in the spring before they, dig into the ground to replace that section of fencing.
Thank you for addressing that.
Yep.
In that case, then I would make a motion to approve PC 21-396, Sedgwick Berwita Associates requesting a principal conditional use permit allowing for offices at 310 West Oakley Street, PID 4119253030. And in terms of findings, the proposed conditional use, I think, is in keeping with how the facility has been used in the past. With it being previously an elementary school, they're very, there were buses going in there all the time. So I think in terms of the bus traffic, in terms of having a learning environment and an office space, that those are very much in keeping with how the facility has been able to operate in the past.
Commissioner Blauer, support. So moved and properly to support. Discussion. I'd just like to say that, this facility is, it looks well maintained. It's right across from the County Road Commission and right up the street from the academy. And it seems to fit. It's got, I think it's an AT&T building that's on the other side of it. I think it's a fit for that area. And I agree with the caller in support and going by it. It's well maintained. It looks good too. So any other discussion that anyone would like to address?
As the applicant, I just have one question. I know you guys are saying that you are approving the office. Are you guys also approving?
Well, it ain't been voted on yet, but yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Are you guys voting on the office and then day program separately, or is that all within the office code?
It's all inclusive.
Okay.
Commissioner Wesley, point of order. I want to just make sure that the commissioners have reviewed the fire department's comments on the site plan checklist.
Well, this is not a site plan, so.
Well, okay, it's just, you're right. I apologize.
Yeah, it's fine. This is Commissioner Jewell. That's why I raised the question about the site plan. That would be at another meeting where they would propose a site plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Jewell.
Yeah. And that, that give them, if it's questions concerning that give them opportunity to handle it. Roll for approval.
Commissioner Ryan. Commissioner Campbell.
Yes.
Commissioner Blauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Jewell.
Yes.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes.
Commissioner Wesley.
Yes. To the applicant, PC 21396, Sedgwick Berwita Architects request for a principal conditional use permit to allow for an office at 310 West Oakley Street, Flint, PID 4119253030 has been approved.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reports, Attorney Kelly Thompson for the status of the permanent marijuana ordinance.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Kelly Thompson. As the commission knows, the marijuana ordinances were approved by City Council on February 8th. We've had daily meetings with myself and planning and zoning staff to talk about implementing the various provisions. So as we've heard in one of the applications for tonight's meeting, just putting together the checklists and the application forms themselves, just getting those ready for the new license types that were implemented or will be implemented. So just putting those things together, and we've got regular meetings to do that. And then for the zoning code, we've had a couple of discussions with the chair and vice chair And they have graciously and generously agreed to meet with council members to discuss some of their specific concerns about the zoning code. We've had the zoning code on council's agenda for 2, it might even be 3 meetings now. And it's either been bumped to a different type of meeting or just postponed. So I don't know if that's an issue of they think that it's too lengthy of a discussion, but I don't know if they don't feel like taking it up at the council meetings when it's been on the agenda. Whatever the issue is, I think that scheduling meetings with the council members and having those discussions outside of the council meetings will help the meetings themselves go more smoothly and will increase our chances of getting a vote to adopt the various provisions. So I appreciate the commissioner's willingness to do that. And so, Mr. Chair, I saw your email yesterday asking if I had contacted the council yet, and I wanted to talk to my supervisor before I reached out to them. I haven't done this before, so I wanted to make sure that I was going through the right channels. So I did get her on board with that on Friday, so I will be contacting the council members and scheduling those meetings. So, and that is it for my report.
Okay, as we discussed, I spoke with Councilman Mays at length, and of course, he's willing to, be part of sitting down with individual council members or 2 by 2, however
right
we organize it, to discuss some concerns that they may have.
Okay, great.
But I tell you, I'm still going in on let's get this done, because as we pointed out in our letter to them, the changes that was originally brought up, we made them after lengthy conversations with community involvement.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have some potential changes they would like to look at, we can look at those in upcoming time when we can involve the public in that discussion. But we need to get the zoning code passed and then look at making those changes. But
right,
that's where I'm at. Okay.
And I think he might be receptive to that. We saw that with the marijuana ordinances. And so, you never know. You never know what could happen. But like you said, the amount of public input that you guys gathered as you were drafting this, that's not something that Bill or Jeff or I were involved with. So it will be, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys being willing to meet with the council members, because this is, you guys have that foundational knowledge and all the hard work that went into it when it was being drafted. So I really do appreciate that.
So this is Commissioner Jordan. So I just want to make sure I'm kind of processing correctly, because I might have missed the beat. I know that when we had our monthly meeting a couple weeks ago, at that point, it sounded like the city council was wanting to handle things through a committee structure. We had finalized a letter to be sent to council and copied to the mayor about the zoning code. And so the game plan is now not to do it through committees, but to have small group meetings with council members.
Actually, it's both. That's what's being suggested now, so that the ordinance is still on the agendas for the committee, for legislative committee. But what we're proposing is separate meetings outside of the public sphere, and 2 by 2, meaning 2 council members and at most 2 planning commission members, so we don't violate the Open Meetings Act. But just so we can have a more intimate discussion about the zoning code. And so if council members are aware, once they're aware that we've scheduled this meeting, they will hopefully compile a list of questions that we can answer for them. That way they feel more comfortable voting on it in the committee meeting.
Okay, understood.
I hope I answered your question. And I'm thought that you had been made aware of this, so I apologize.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jewell.
Yes, Commissioner Joel.
I'd like to go back to the marijuana ordinance. Thank you, Kelly, for your outstanding work and perseverance. But I do have an inquiry. Bill, are you still on the line?
Yes, I am.
Bill, I know you made an inquiry to me regarding some background information. Can you clarify any follow-up regarding that concerning the marijuana ordinance?
I think we were looking for some information. And Kelly, there was this isn't on the agenda. Do you want to discuss the ordinance that was passed? Are we still working with staff internally to potentially resolve?
You're talking about the various citations and the references to the zoning code
Correct.
at the D1 and D2 question, or D2 and D3 question.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
micro businesses versus Group E provisioning. So
yeah, we've caught some discrepancies in the it's 5161 through 5169. That's the ordinance related to special regulated uses, the designations of categories, and to an extent some locational restrictions. And I spoke to Reed Erickson about this question, and what he believes is that there was a version, the version that was presented to the Planning Commission that was approved by the Planning Commission on February 4th. That was a outdated version. It wasn't updated to reflect the larger ordinance 5183. So we're trying to assess what all of the discrepancies are, and figure out what needs to happen. And it's especially challenging because we're trying to do the zoning code at the same time. So what I've suggested is that we just keep a tally, and so we can go back to Planning Commission and then City Council to make any corrections. So we're still making our checklist. Like Bill said, there's an issue with the micro businesses. There's a section about was it the Group E, Bill?
Group E. So if you
Allowed
don't
in-
mind, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah, the proposed ordinance that came back before the Planning Commission last February of 2020 basically had D2 and D3 struck out for adult use. The ordinance that was passed did not have D2 and D3 struck out for adult use Group E.
So that's in two entirely different zoning districts that that were not meant to be included. And I think that there were some discussions about that with Planning Commission, specifically, whether we wanted those types of SRUs to be allowed in those districts or not. And I think the consensus was that we did not. So 5169 was not updated to reflect that position. And so what Reed said was that it seemed like 5183 was what everybody was focused on, and going through that page by page and line by line. And he said that he probably would have just said something like, oh yeah, the other ordinances were updated to reflect the changes in 5183, when that wasn't exactly the case. So I'm like I said, we're making a list of all of the things that we need to reconcile. And before anything happens, before anything is changed, it will come before the Planning Commission. So whether it's an amendment to 5169, which I think that's what it will be, that amendment will come before the Planning Commission for approval before it goes to council.
Okay. Mr. Chair, this is.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Joel again. I just wanted a bit of clarification. I think it's probably appropriate that at your next staff meeting that particular item be reviewed as to moving forward.
This is Commissioner Jordan. I would just ask, given that the council has acted, I don't know if it had immediate effect or if there's some delay process, but is there any danger about a business, applying between now and when this reconciliation is corrected that would, open the door to having businesses into districts where they're not intended to be?
I think the answer to that is no. And I'm very confident in saying no, because there's a provision in 5169 that says that applications and applicants are to comply with the locational standards set forth in 5183. So it refers back to 5183 quite frequently. So if we had any questions from an applicant or any applications for an SRU in a D2 or D3 zone, then we would refer to 5183, which says very clearly it's not permitted in D2 or D3. So it is a discrepancy that definitely needs changing, but the clarifying provisions are in 5183, which is referenced in 169. So that's why I'm comfortable with keeping a tally of all of the changes that we need to make, so we can do them all at the same time. So to answer your question, Commissioner Jordan, I think with the savings clause of refer back to 5183 covers us in the meantime.
And if you don't mind, one other point, Kelly, that I think you brought up, that state Lara, they may have a statute about where they can be placed, what type of zoning. I don't think we've had time to look that up yet either. I think we had a discussion about maybe the state had a zoning designation. It couldn't be any less than, but I might have misunderstood that.
Yeah, and I don't recall that part of our discussion. And I'm sure that the whole regulatory scheme that we've put in place is compliant with state law. So, and I don't think that D2 and D3 would have been on the table if it weren't envisioned or allowed by state law. So, they obviously have to comply with state law, but I don't think that's going to help us in this scenario, unfortunately.
Yeah, I started looking at the law regulations a little bit. I didn't get all the way through them, but I didn't see anything that was going to eliminate that issue.
So Jeff is on the line. Okay.
I know. I just thought that too. Hi, Jeff.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening. Okay.
Oh, Mr. Chair, Kelly, is there
Yeah.
any way we can get a digital copy yet of the permanent marijuana law?
Yes, so I have the version that has proposed watermarked across it, and I have been getting periodic updates from council staff that they're working on getting the assigned version. So I will email you the full and complete packet that was adopted, but unfortunately it's not the signed and fully executed version. I don't have that yet.
Without going into an extensive conversation, was there changes from the last proposed draft ordinance we received a copy of?
No.
Okay, it's the same document. Okay.
Right. And if you have a version, if any of the commission members have the version that it's stamped across the top right corner, it says approved or recommended by PC 2/4/2020. So the three ordinances that council adopted, those were the specific versions that they adopted. So I will send that out to all of the commissioners and blind copy them, so everybody has the version, the right versions.
Okay. Would that be something that go into the what's the booklet we're getting together right now? Commissioners?
The
booklet?
member orientation packets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know
Nice
Corey's working
transition.
on those, and I think that I saw an email from him during this meeting asking about the marijuana ordinances. So it sounds like he plans to put those in there.
Yeah, I'm panicking a little over here. So.
All right. Kelly, is there anything else?
That was it for me, Mr. Chair. If
Thank-
anybody has any questions, I know that this is kind of a lot of information all at once. So if you think of a question between now and the next meeting, don't hesitate to contact me.
All right, we can do that. Suzanne, you know, is Suzanne on this meeting?
No, she's not on the call.
You know, how she get out of our meetings? Huh? Come on.
She sent
Yeah.
Jeff, Commissioner Wesley. She sent Jeff.
Okay. Status of the drafting zoning ordinance. Well, we know what that is. In
Yeah.
limbo.
We know what that is. It did come up in committee last week. They posted.
Yep. And postponed. Councilman Mays said he did that on purpose. So we're working
Mr. Chair,
through that.
did Councilman Mays tell you exactly why he decided to postpone it?
I think he did, but it's not something that,
Wasn't significant enough to stick in your
No.
memory.
right,
Okay.
it registered with me. But it was something about, he was confusing like the marijuana ordinance and zoning and where it can go where, and he don't know if he wanted all in one district, and I'm going,
Okay.
you sufficiently confused me too, but we'll get you straight, all right? So,
Yeah,
that
I was very surprised when he moved to postpone as soon as it came up on the agenda. I was not anticipating that at all. So I just was curious.
yeah, that's what he said, and I told him, maybe that's something that we can discuss when we all get together in those more personable meetings.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, if I
yeah.
could, I'm so sorry. I just want to make a list of the commissioners who have agreed to attend those meetings with council, because I know that we have some new members who weren't here at the time. So not that we want to exclude them, but I think the main value of having a commissioner attend these meetings is so they can explain what took place during the drafting process.
Okay.
So I know we've got the chair on board.
Yeah. I got to do a little begging and a little groveling. Commissioner Jordan?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to helping out. I wasn't aware that the game plan had shifted.
Well, we're gonna really establish a game plan here, Elizabeth. We really got to do that. Going in.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll absolutely be flexible. I mean, we're not asking you to take up a ton of your time. So
Yeah. Commissioner Jewell, would you want to be part of that discussion?
It'd be- Yeah, it'd just be a matter of logistics and timing and so forth.
Yeah, that's gonna be the key with all of this, is trying to carve out time to sit down with the council and try to work through this thing.
and I can say at this point, it's most likely that these meetings will take place virtually.
Yeah.
City Hall is still closed. I don't think council is coming to City Hall at all right now. So,
No.
so we'll most likely be virtual.
Commissioner Blauer, what about you? I know you guys ZBA, boy, we just appreciate that to no end.
That makes you especially qualified for this meeting.
Yeah, to get on some of this.
Anything for you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I love
I would be
it. I
willing
love
to support.
Commissioner Campbell, who's your council person over there, Commissioner Campbell? Anyway, you got Davis, Commissioner Campbell.
Oh, she's muted.
She's muted. Unmute Commissioner Campbell. Talk to me.
I'm not available at this time. I'm working during the day.
You always available.
No. Working. Sorry.
Come on, Leora.
I have to
Okay,
get back with you, but I'm working.
all right there, I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Commissioner
Let
Wesley
me
has
know when
chocolate.
I'll see.
Look, you hear Bill, don't you? We're trying to bribe you with chocolate.
Bill knows me too well.
Okay. You know, I'm gonna be reaching out. You know, I think we should get Commissioner April Hawkins on this. You know, let her get in some of these battles with these council people.
Yeah, I get into a battle with them already in the community. I won't
Oh
lie.
no. Oh no. You need to get in on some of this. But okay, we will
Pick your battles. Pick your battles.
oh look. I mean,
Right.
it's all out battle. I think we're going in. I'm going in to win it. I'm in it to win it right now, buddy. Okay. But we'll get together and Kelly and Elizabeth and
Yes, I have the
And,
4 members who have agreed to this. And again, thank you
Yeah.
so much. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
okay, we're gonna do this. Jeff, you there? You have anything on the capital improvement plan?
So I sent out the Excel file via email this afternoon. I'm sorry that it was late, but I kept getting updates trickling in. Every time I thought I was done, somebody else would send me something. So I have the final version that was provided today. Now, no one went through and updated their text except for planning staff. So Parks updated all of its text section, and Community and Economic Development updated its section, but no one else provided me any sort of textual update. So what Suzanne and I were thinking is we're just getting people used to doing this process again on a yearly basis this year. So we'll update the tables this year with the information that was provided. And then we'll go through and do a whole overhaul of the entire document next year. I did go through it and sort of highlighted for myself where I thought we needed updates, but being the new guy in town, you know, I don't really have the resources to go and answer these questions myself. So we may take each section and do a section a month and make sure that it gets updated properly and that the references to the census data gets updated and all of that stuff. But I have a better attack plan for next year. I've taken down all the names of people I heard from, so no one can squirm away next year.
Okay. I like that. No one can squirm away. I wish we could do that.
Yeah.
We have been too successful in keeping people
file,
from squirming away.
There are glaring holes in what was sent. And I unfortunately have neither the carrot nor the stick in this situation.
Sounds like we're going to be making a lot of friends in the coming weeks.
Oh God. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Any resolutions? Bill?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is Commissioner Joel. We added, if there was any update regarding, and I may be misinterpreting this, I understand there's still an opening on the plan for the planner position.
Wouldn't that be in the old? That's not under old business or new business?
No, it's
It
under
would be in
reports.
Oh, in reports? I didn't put it in
Yeah.
reports.
So
okay, then we can wait to where you put it.
Okay, you're going to put in reports. What was it?
So we do have a new planner. He's going to start on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
A local son, his name is Jonathan. I actually wasn't part of the interview process because HR limits how many people can participate. So we had Bill and Suzanne handle it. So I'll let, if you have any questions, address them to Bill, but we do have that position filled and Bill's
Starting
gonna-
on Monday?
Yes, starting on Monday.
And
Well, maybe-
I think Bill told me he was a nice person and he thought he's going to be really great.
Well, Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, maybe it's more appropriate that at our first meeting on March the 9th, that just be added to the agenda for an update.
Okay, with that, okay. Okay, yeah, good. Okay,
Right.
any resolutions?
No
Old
resolutions.
business? Yeah. Bill?
Commissioner Wesley, no resolutions that I'm
Okay.
aware of.
I think we took off status of the planning commission membership roster.
Correct.
Was
Correct.
that taken off the agenda?
Correct.
Okay. Planning commissioners member orientation packet. Corey?
As Kelly mentioned, I was collecting the most recent documents. So there's the new medical marijuana ordinances I wanted to include in them. And other than that, I will be sending them out this week.
Oh, great.
Commissioner Wesley, one thing that we discussed, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Some of the commissioners may want the documents electronically. Some of the commissioners may want hard copies. And some of the commissioners may want to look at the components that Corey's put together and not select, more than one or two trees if he's going to print it all out. So,
Right.
Yeah, I compressed all the documents into a zip file and I'm going to be sending that. And then you have to tell me what documents you want to print it out if you want any printed out.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I can do that.
Sweet.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, any new business?
Mr. Chair, going back to old business, I just had a commentary regarding the orientation package. Thank you. We did make reference over the past several months of setting some time aside to sort of a briefing and overview regarding the packets. I'm assuming that, Corey, you'll probably be chatting with Bob regarding setting that on one of our agendas. Is that the intent?
Yeah, we haven't started on that, but once the packets are sent out, we will then work on orientation trainings.
Okay. All right, sounds great. And then, Mr. Chair, the other item was the I-475 phone update meeting.
For me, I didn't get anything, but I heard something on the news about they had a meeting just passed and they got another one planned for April, I believe. I think I heard on the news. But no one has contacted me, and I don't know if any of the planning staff been looped in on those meetings yet either. Suzanne was supposed to check on that and see what was happening, trying to find out who the point person is in the mayor's office for that.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Kelly Thompson. I believe that she was going to touch base with Kalfani Stevens. I think that has been, that task has been delegated to him. So I will follow up with Suzanne and make sure that she gets with you on that, or Kalfani gets with you on that, one or the other.
Appreciate it. But that's
Absolutely.
That's as far as what I know, Rob.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been made aware of anything else.
Okay. No new business. Chair will entertain a motion for adjournment. If nobody have anything else,
So moved.
because
Support.
I want to eat dinner. So hey, I appreciate everyone, and thanks so much, and have a good evening.
Well, excuse me, I had one more thing I want to discuss.
Okay, Bill. I tell you what.
Just kidding.
Let me get back with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Good night,
Okay,
everyone.
guys.